Welcome, yogis. In this yin practice, we'll be using the wall, and using the wall is especially great for people who have any lower back issues or knee issues. Sometimes when we have knee issues, we find it hard to hold the yin poses. There's a lot of pressure into the knee from the weight. But the moment we're against the wall, there's no weight through the knees, and so they're very good. Additionally, they're very good to do at home. Often they're harder to teach into the studios because we just maybe don't have that much wall space. And today, in the first pose that we're going to start in is our dangle, but we do that against the wall as well. There's two options here to get into the pose. The first option is where we're just walking back and we're leaning the sitting bones down into the ground. Maybe the feet are together, maybe they're apart. We're hanging down just like this. The second option, especially helpful if you have longer hamstrings, is when you turn around, and then from there you'll be leaning down into the wall. Releasing down. The palms can face up, and then we'll be softening into this pose. Releasing. We'll be holding the poses for 3 minutes or maybe a little bit longer. And I'm strangled up here. So release it down. Let it go. Soften. Take a moment here just to arrive into your yin mind. So where we release, where we let go, where we find softness. And I know that we need to have some activation here in the muscles, just because we have to keep ourselves in an upright position. You'll feel that it's much less activation than what it was in our dangle, than it is in our dangle where we don't use the wall. And you just sink down, especially if you lean with your shoulders into the wall, you have more space into the hamstrings. You want to feel that you continuously slide down, crown of the head moves in the direction of the ground that we find, and stay into our maximum range of motion. That's what we'll be stretching in all these yin poses. And we call that our edge. It's that part where we feel that we can't stretch any deeper. It's most of the time that point in a pose where we feel that we prefer to get out of the pose, but instead of getting out, we release and we soften and we let go. Stretching here through the whole back of the body, the superficial back line moving from the soles of the feet, all the way through the Achilles tendons, the calves, the hamstrings, and then through the outsides of the hips into the lower back, the middle part of the back, upper back, the back of the neck. This is all connected through the fascia, the connective tissue of our body. So keep on deepening into the pose, keep on releasing, keep on resting down, even if it feels intense. And for quite a few of us, our legs will begin to shake, and if that's you, if your legs shake, just enjoy that shaking sensation, don't judge it, and don't move away from it. Don't feel that it has to change. Just let it shake. Very good. It's a nice release actually through the muscles. Most of the time we judge it more though, and because we judge it, we find it hard to just enjoy and appreciate the pose. Or the shaking, I should say. So keep on releasing. Keep on letting go. Keep on softening. Not only physically, but also emotionally and mentally. Let it go. Whatever you're holding on to, whatever story is there today, it's not important. And there's our rebound. So instead of bringing your head up, I want you to just bring your hips down. Maybe lay on your belly, maybe lay onto your back. I'm just walking back here and I'll be laying onto my belly. You can rest your forehead onto your hands if you like to, but you're also welcome to rest the forehead onto the mat and bring your hands next to your hips. And now soften here. Relax and release and feel the sensation, especially into the backs of the legs and into the hamstrings. Slowly allow the memory of the pose to fade, to move away out of your body. So after this pose, we'll be moving with our legs up against the wall, allowing our legs to be drained from fluids. So I find it a nice way to start like this against the wall, where all the blood flows into the legs, and now we return it. So there's no real elegant way of getting onto the wall. Easiest is to move your hips all the way against the wall and then kind of spin yourself around. If you feel that you're away from the wall, wriggle yourself down. And as I mentioned, there's no really elegant way to get onto the wall. So we first just stay for a moment with our legs up, and then we're allowing the legs to just open up out to the side in our dragonfly. So wall dragonfly. Feels nice. Gravity is just pulling the legs down. Maybe one leg goes lower than the other. That's quite possible. If that's you, then just let it happen. It doesn't matter. Feel here how the lower back is firmly pressing down into the ground. So there's no pressure into the lower back. When you do this pose in a forward fold, there's a big stretch into the lower back. But here, the lower back is just in a neutral position. Your hands can go anywhere. You're welcome to bring them up overhead if that feels good. You can also bring them out to the side in any way. You can also rest your hands onto the insides of your thighs and then use your arms, your hands for a little bit of extra weight if that feels good for you. And then we'll just be softening into this pose. So you feel here that gravity is slowly opening up the legs more. We're stretching here into the insides of the legs. So that's your adductors. That's the name of these muscles. And they go all the way from the inside of the knee into the groin. And if you've been doing exercise where you, for example, horse riding, often you have a lot of tightness in these adductors. Also, pushbike riders can have a lot of tightness in the adductors, and gymnasts because they do a lot of squeezing in. So just feel here very gently and release through the hips. The sitting bones are touching the wall or nearly touching the wall. And then find that softening. Feel that you're not fighting the stretch. Feel that you're not pushing. But just allow. Just release. Anytime that you feel you need to deepen the stretch, you can. But we're trying to find as much stillness, as much softness as we can. But at the same time, being and holding our maximum range of motion, our edge. Reason why we're in these poses for so long, 3 minutes, is that we're waiting for this phase change, as a change on cellular level of the fascia. So the fascia is our connective tissue. It's the white tissue in your body. And we're just waiting for that phase change. We're waiting for this tissue to slowly release. And then in the rebound, that's where all the goodness happens. That's where this tissue will slowly reconnect. And as it does, it takes away any inflammation, any scar tissue that you might have built up. So that's what we're doing. Our yin practice is kind of a waiting game. So keep on softening, keep on releasing, keep on letting go. If you're not sure, if you're holding tension, maybe take a couple of deep breaths and feel on each exhale that you release a little bit more. So in this practice, we'll be working the hips a lot. And we're working the hips without putting any pressure into the lower back, which can be very beneficial. Keep on releasing, keep on letting go, keep on sinking. And there we are. So our rebound is not coming off the wall. Our rebound is a caterpillar against the wall. So we're slowly bringing the legs in and we're bringing the legs up against the wall. So for me, you can always see a lot of difference between one leg and the other. I've broken my left hip about 5 years ago. And especially coming out of poses kind of hurts that hip quite a bit. However, the yin practice, works miracles for this hip. It really helps to open up more and to reduce any of the inflammation that sometimes builds up into my hip. So I really like the yin practice, even though when I do it in the hips, I don't always appreciate it as much. It's the next day. The next day when it feels really amazing. So if you feel the same, just bear with me. Tomorrow will feel good. Or maybe later on in the day, depending on what time you are practicing. So this, the caterpillar, is our rebound as we do our wall poses, so that we don't have to come on back into the wall all the time. Once we're here. Sometimes you get cold feet. Sometimes it's nice to have your feet closed, especially your socks. Your feet closed. If your socks closed, so that you can cover your feet or wrap them up. Feel that sensation in the hips. Keep on releasing down through the lower back into the ground. And there we are. So our next pose from here is our figure 4. So we're crossing the legs over. And we're gently bending the legs. So I've crossed my right leg over. It doesn't matter which leg you begin. And my left leg can bend. You can also keep it straight like this. That I get a better stretch into the outside of the hip if I bend my left leg. Now you have all kind of options here. You can, for example, bring your right hand into your knee and kind of push the knee into the hand. You can kind of find a little bit of a twist. You can twist either way. You can also twist over towards the left side. This kind of feel into your hips. I quite like to use my hand like that and then bend my left leg a little bit more. So I want you to feel that stretch really through the outside of the hip. Now if your hips have come off the ground or your lower back has come off the ground like that, then I want you to straighten the leg more. Then you just have moved a little bit too deep. The lower back is firmly down onto the ground and a stretch into the outside of the leg. So just try to find that spot and then ease into it. Release into it. If you're holding on with your hand to your knee, make sure that there's no pressure into the shoulder or into the arm. So I'm just bracing my hand, get a little bit of a stretch into the wrist, which I don't mind. And then we just release. Feeling deep into the hip, the right hip. And find just softness here, sinking down. So just remember, our yin practice is not about comfort. It is really about the benefits that we can get, that we can reap. And as we move out of our comfort zone, finding that little bit of discomfort. And from that perspective, it's also a great practice for off the mat. Because most of the time, change only can come when we move out of our comfort zone. If we just stay in our comfort zone, nothing really can change. So we have to gently move out of our comfort zone. Not too much, but just a little bit. And that's where change can happen. Not only in our yin practice, but also off our mat. And I find that the yin practice really helps me to become comfortable, to be out of my comfort zone. To be comfortable, to be uncomfortable. Quite often when we find that discomfort, our mind becomes really busy and it becomes really quite chatty about that we can't do this, that it's too strong, that it can't be right. Maybe it tells you off, maybe it tells me off. And so just observe all of that, but don't buy into it. So observe it, notice it, don't buy into it. That's okay. There's discomfort, and that's okay. We can just notice that and feel that and be with that. We don't have to be attached to it. We can just let it go. And maybe you can feel a change. If you feel that there's more ease in the pose, then just deepen a little bit more into the pose. And there we are. We straight away change sides. So take your time. There's never any rush to come out of the pose. We're straightening the right leg out, and then when you are ready, you find your figure 4 on the second side. So for me, that's my left side. Now, don't assume this side is going to be the same as the first side was. So find here where you need to be. So my left side is very different from my right. And so I just have to find a bit of a different position here. It's very easy here for my lower back to lift away from the ground to kind of do that. So I have to put effort in to keep my lower back down. And then we slowly release and slowly sink into the pose, making sure that we find our edge, that we find that place where there's discomfort, just that spot where you feel that it would be really great to get out of the pose. When you find that spot, then you soften and you release and you ease into the pose, you ease into the discomfort, no matter what it feels like. Finding softness, softness in your face, softness around your jaws. Sometimes we put pressure there. And find softness in your throat and your breath. And softness in your chest and your shoulders. Let it all release, finding ease. Keep on releasing the lower back down. So in Yin, we're always trying to find that edge, and most of the time we find discomfort. Sometimes we call that discomfort pain. And pain or discomfort over a large area is always fine. But if you find that there's some pinching somewhere, or it feels like there's a stabbing anywhere in the knee or maybe into the hip, and you would point at that with one finger, if I would ask you where it hurts, you would say, it hurts here. That pain is always wrong. So if that's what you feel, you have to change your position so that you don't feel that sharp pain anymore. It's in any Yin position. But if you say, oh, I really feel it here, or I really feel it here, then I'll say, yeah, that's right. That's where you should feel it. Yep, so if it's a large area, if you would just show it like this to me, I would always know that the pain is fine. But if it's something where you would point with one finger, then the pain is not right. A sharp pain. And most of the time, within ourselves, we actually know. We know this is actually okay pain, and then we know like, nah, this pain, it can't be good, it can't be right, it's sharp, it just feels really nasty. That pain is never good, so change your position, move. Still making sure that we feel the intensity, but no sharp pain. Keep on deepening, especially if you start to feel that there's more space. We're shedding here all these layers of tension, and then we move into them. Once softness arrives, to shed the next layer of tension. Oh, and there we are. So slowly coming out of the pose, we find our caterpillar pose. So we're just laying with the legs up, and we just feel here. Hands can rest next to the hips, softness in the shoulders. Feel into the hips, feel that sensation. The memory of the pose is what we're feeling here. And in our rebound, we're trying to really stay connected to what we feel, but at the same time, we try to not have any judgment or any expectations. So as we check in and see what we feel, we're trying to describe more the sensation than how it feels. So we try to stay away from words like good or bad or nice or terrible or whatever words you have for that. We're trying to only say, oh, I feel a lot of heat in my left hip. I feel some tingling into my glutes, into my buttocks. Maybe I feel coolness into the front of the hip. Maybe I feel some tingling in my wrists from holding on to the leg. That's what we try to feel. We try to really be with that sensation. And then our next pose is our wall squat. So we bring our feet out to the side a little bit and then down. Maybe your toes are pointing out, maybe they point straight forward, it doesn't matter. Maybe your legs are out or higher up. Maybe they're a little bit closer in. Feel just what is right for you. And then we're sinking down. This is a beautiful pose. If you normally struggle with a squat onto the ground, then this is always an option to come into. There's no pressure here into the knees, as you will feel. There's no pressure here into the lower back. So we just find that softness. There's different things that we can do with our arms. You can just bring them around like this, holding them onto the shins and weighing the shins down. You can also bring your hands to the inside of the legs and hold on to the ankles like this. Also, that helps. You can also push your elbows into your knees and bring your hands together like this, and you feel that you have a little bit more opening through the insides of the hips. And also, if you prefer not to use your hands, you can bring them out to the side or up overhead, whatever feels right. I'll choose this option today. just to get a little bit more opening in the insides of the legs. So you keep on walking your feet down in the direction of the ground as much as that feels right, finding the right position for you. And then once you are where you feel that you can't bring your feet any deeper, then you begin to release the tailbone back down to the ground. So you're trying to really sink the tailbone down, getting that nice length or even a neutral spine, so meaning that the lower back almost lifts back off the ground. And the more we release the tailbone down, the more stretch we receive into our hips. So just feel here. Become aware of the difference between the right side and the left side, if there is any. And don't judge that sensation, but just become aware of it. That there's a difference, because most of us are very different from the right to the left. Become aware of the story that you're telling yourself. And allow yourself to just be. Just be with the sensations instead of being with the story or the idea that you might have of the pose. Release down, release the hips down. And again, there's no sharp pain in the knees. If there is, then you have to change your position. You can be in so many different variations here, so find a way that it's good for you. No sharp pain, but yes to intensity. And then keep on softening, peeling off those layers until only softness remains. All tension is gone. All tightness just leaves. Only softness, only acceptance, only an opening. And there we are. So take your time. Sometimes at poses it can feel really hard to come out of the pose. So there's no rush. Maybe you use your hands, your arms to help. And then we'll be ending up back into our caterpillar pose, our rebound, hands next to the hips or out more towards the side. And feel here, feel the sensation in the hips, the backs of the knees. There was compression there before. So now you should feel fluids running back into this space, into this area. So that both the backs of the knees and the hips. And just feel how that feels. Just creating awareness. Mindfulness. Letting go of expectations and judgments. Just only feel what's there, what's happening. Keep on releasing in your rebound. Keep on letting go. Don't become impatient. And there we go. Now we find a twist. So we find our eagle wrap. Maybe the legs just go like this. Maybe you can wrap them all the way. Maybe you'd like to go down like this and then wrap them. So we're bringing the right leg over the left, and then we're falling the legs over towards the right side. So there can be some rounding into the lower back. That's perfectly fine. Maybe wrap your legs, maybe don't wrap your legs. And then sink down into your twist. As your legs are down towards the ground, then the left shoulder sinks back down towards the ground as well. So the knees are over towards the right, the legs are over to the left. So I'm wrapping now, but you can also just do it like this. You can rest your legs like that. If none of that feels right, you can also straighten your legs more out, maybe all the way straight or maybe just a little bit straight. Just feel what's right. I like the eagle wrap. It weighs down a little bit, so my left leg is really secured down. And then from there, I can really working on bringing my left shoulder back down to the ground. So you can either
look straight up, or you can find a gentle twist by looking over your opposite shoulder. Gentle twist in the back of the neck. And then we just release. Beautiful releasing twist here. Gravity takes you down. Sinking down through the left shoulder. Releasing into the pose. Getting here the twist into the spine. Additionally, you will feel a stretch to the outside of your left hip. Outside of the left hip, and we've already moved into that a couple of times in a figure 4, for example. Now we just get a little bit of a deeper stretch there, a little bit more opening is what we're looking for. Keep on softening, keep on letting go. Constantly scanning your body for tension. Tension around your jaw, around your eyes. Tension in your throat, your shoulders. Tension in your chest, your belly area, let it go. Any tension around the hips or the legs, just soften. And then find softness in your toes and softness in the hands and the fingers. Keep on deepening the twist in the spine. Keep on easing into it. And there we go. Take your time. There's no rebound between sides, but at the same time, there's no rush either. So bring the legs up, taking the time. Whenever you feel ready, you find the same pose on the second side, which will feel maybe very different. So we cross the left leg over the right, and then we're slowly sinking down towards the side. Maybe wrapping the legs, maybe keeping them unwrapped, maybe straightening them out a bit, maybe bending them more, and then keep on releasing now the right shoulder down as the right knee sinks down. Easing into the pose. Take a deep breath in and exhale fully. Do that again. Deep breath in and release. And then just soften down. Allowing gravity to just move you deeper into the twist. Feeling that sensation through the spine, the outside of the hip. Softness. Constantly checking where you're building up tension. Often we build up tension in the same areas, like for example the shoulders or maybe the jaw. So maybe open and close your mouth occasionally, just to kind of let go or shake your jaw out. Maybe release the shoulders a little bit more, sink them down a bit more. Maybe let go through the hips a little bit more. Allow the knees to sink down a little bit more and find more length in the spine. Softening, releasing, letting go. Right shoulder sinks down towards the ground. On each exhale, there's a little bit more stillness. There's a little bit more softness. There's just that little bit more letting go. Become aware how much you can let go, how much you're holding on to. Feeling a nice deep stretch into the lower back. And there we are, slowly releasing. Bring the legs back up onto the wall, back into our caterpillar pose. Taking your time, releasing through the arms, hands next to the hips. We just got one more pose to go after this rebound. Take your time here. Just check in, see how you feel. Now you should also feel this sensation into the lower back and maybe into the rib cage as well, or the middle part of the spine. So feel into that and just notice what's there, what's happening. Waiting for the memory of the pose to slowly dissolve. We're always so busy, always so rushed. It's very rare for us to just lay and to just be. But Yin gives us that opportunity to just be still, to just only be, to be mindful, observant. And our last pose is our butterfly pose. So we're bringing the feet down, knees out to the side, and you'll feel here as well that the wall really will help you. So you can bring your hands onto your knees like this and straighten your arms if that feels good. You can also pick up onto your ankles or onto your toes and kind of pull them towards you. The heels are sinking down as close towards the groin as feels that is right for you. So that's a bit different from our normal butterfly. And then we're allowing here the hips, the adductors, the inside of the thighs to open up and to release. So find the right position for you for your hands. You also don't have to have your hands onto your legs. You can just bring them down onto the ground. And then sink down, release, open up in this last stretch. So the lower back is flat down onto the ground. The tailbone releases down, lengthening. And then maybe you can feel here that you can create a neutral spine as the lower back gently lifts off the ground. Maybe that's you, maybe not. And then keep on releasing, opening up, finding that space, that length, that release, that last little bit of tension that you might be holding here at the end of your practice. Let it go. Keep on sinking down through the sitting bones. The more the sitting bones go down, the more opening you will find into the hips. And additionally, the less stress there is into the lower back. Keep on releasing. Keep on allowing the knees to move down and back towards the wall. And there you are. So slowly maybe use your hands to help. Bring your knees together and then straighten your legs out, coming back into your caterpillar pose. If you feel that this is not very nice to stay here for your Shavasana, then at any time that you want to, you can come out of this pose and just push yourself away into your Shavasana. Otherwise, you can just release here and stay here for your Shavasana as well. Very beneficial. All the fluids will run out of the legs still. Bring all the energy back into the heart space. Allowing the heart to slow down. A lot of oxygen coming into the brain, to the head. So just rest and just feel here the sensations at the end of the practice, our wall yin practice. Beautiful practice. Deep releases, deep openings into the hips. So as always, I encourage you to just stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like. Feeling how you can rest here into that blissful sensation at the end of the practice. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.